Roots run deep, petals flow, fair and florist part. Hear the stories as they grow. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoy the show.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Fair and Florist Pod, the place where I share the trials, tribulations and daily realities of being not just a florist, but also a small business owner. I'm your host, Sarah. I own Fair and Florist. It's also known as Flowers by Moonstones, and it's a small, independent, family-run business on the outskirts of a little town on the south coast of the UK called, yep, you've guessed it, Fareham. Today, episode 8 by the way, I want to tell you about one of those days. You know the kind. The kind where you wake up already exhausted, yet somehow, impossibly, the day continues to get worse for you. This story involves COVID, a wedding I probably shouldn't have taken, a lost driver, a rogue neighbour, vases, a rose thorn with attitude, and a cheeseplant, which staged what I can only describe as a full-scale rebellion. By the end of this episode, you'll either feel very grateful for your calm, uneventful life, or deeply validated if you've ever had a day where it felt like the universe had singled you out personally. So let's dive in. Hello, lovely listeners. I'm briefly going to interrupt this episode. Forgive me, but I wish to speak to you directly. Producing this podcast takes time, energy, caffeine, and no small amount of courage. I create every episode independently, without a production team or external support, and whilst I am loving doing it, there are real costs involved in keeping it going. From hosting platforms and equipment, to editing software and script writing time, it's all adding up, far more than I initially anticipated. I completely understand that times are challenging for so many people right now, and support is never expected. However, if you are enjoying the show and would like to help me continue growing this little dream, you can do so by buying me a virtual coffee. If you would like to make a contribution, please visit www.buymeacoffee.com/fairandfloristpod. Every single contribution, no matter how small, will genuinely make a difference. I'm incredibly grateful for your support already as it is, whether that's through listening, sharing the pod, or helping me financially. Thank you for being here. Okay, back to the show. It started with a COVID test. I'd been rough for about a week before I tested. I told myself it was just a cold. Florists don't get sick. We're not allowed to. We don't have the time to. We just have to push on through. As the days rolled on though, I knew it was anything but just a cold. The exhaustion was next level. The coughing relentless. The headache. It was as if someone had taken up permanent residence behind my eyes and was hacking at them with a pickaxe. As for sleep, wow, that completely went out the window. 10 nights of broken, shallow, frustrating, coughing sleep. You know the kind where you drift off for 40 minutes, wake up feeling like you've run a marathon in your dreams. By the time I finally tested, I was already at breaking point. As I watched that little positive line appear, I stared at it thinking, of course, why not? Now, here's the thing about running a small business alone. When you're ill, there's no one to call in. There's none of this, I'll just take a few days off. There's no HR department. There's no backup florist waiting in the wings. If I don't come to work, nothing happens. Orders won't get made. Flowers won't go out. Weddings won't get delivered. My choice? I either cancelled everything or I dug deep. Obviously, I chose digging deep. Of course, as it happened the week I tested positive, I also had a wedding. Not just any wedding, though. One I had been looking forward to for months. Anyone who knows me will know that I say that very rarely when it comes to wedding flowers. It was a wedding, though, where the bride trusted me completely. The colour palette was absolutely dreamy. The brief was creative and exciting. The kind of wedding that you live for, because so often brides come in knowing exactly what they want, and you have to create it to the letter for them. This bride, however, she let me have free rein. It was wonderful. Having said all that, though, and being as excited as I was, having to do wedding prep when I felt like I'd just been hit by a bus, that was tough. I know someone who got hit by a bus once. I laughed for 3 solid days. It still brings me so much joy remembering it. But that's a tale for another day, and not really one for sharing here. So I remember standing at my workbench on this day, put my hands down on the counter, and thought to myself, I absolutely should not be doing this today. I also remember thinking, Sarah, your bride and other customers have trusted you. Get on with it. That's the thing with this job. It's not just flowers. It's people's memories. It's photographs which will exist long after we're all gone. It's moments like that which make all the difference. I powered through. I moved slowly. I drank more tea than was medically advisable. I coughed into my elbow like it was an Olympic sport. Somehow, and I've no idea how, the wedding flowers turned out stunning. The bouquets were balanced. The archway was perfect. The colour harmony was phenomenal. When I stepped back to look at everything ready to go, I did feel proud. I also felt slightly delirious. Already running on fumes, planning the day ahead, waiting for my driver to come back to collect the wedding flowers. Chris was off that day, so I had someone else helping. The phone rang. The temporary driver was lost. Not 2 streets away lost, properly lost. Despite my giving him detailed instructions, a postcode, a pin drop, what 3 words, and multiple alternate contact numbers in case he had any issues, he was somewhere in the countryside, sounding mildly panicked. I tried to stay calm, because if I snapped that day, it wouldn't have helped anyone. Internally, though, I was screaming. Eventually, I got it sorted out. In the interim period, though, I had to poodle off to do another couple of deliveries that were time-sensitive. Crisis was averted in the end, and I headed back to the shop. What did I find when I got there? My forecourt, directly outside my shop, a patch of land that we own, and where I had planned to park, because if you know Farron Park Road at all, you know trying to park in the road any time after 7 a.m, that's never going to happen, or anywhere else in the immediate vicinity. There was a car sitting on my forecourt, belonging to one of my neighbours, who was nowhere to be found. Normally, I would handle this with grace. Well, sometimes. Although when it comes to some of my neighbours back when this happened, I could often be found chasing them down the road. One parked so close to my shop door once, I literally had to climb over his bonnet to get out of the shop. And remember, this day was not a particularly good one for me. No sleep, COVID, wedding pressure, lost driver. And as is so typical in this country, it had also begun to rain. Proper rain. The kind which hammers down. I ended up having to park down the old railway line, a good 5-minute walk away. No coat, no umbrella, just me, the sky, COVID, and rain. By the time I got back to the shop, I looked like I completed a triathlon, as if that was ever going to happen. Thankfully, I do keep spare clothes at work. Experience has taught me, floristry is not a dry profession. I changed clothes, I reset, I continued. Now, you would think the universe might ease up on me a little bit at this point. You'd be wrong. Whilst filling a vase, it slipped. My legs, nice and dry, clean, were now soaked. The water hit the deck and shot straight upwards. My nice dry trainers took the brunt of it. Cold water trickling down into your socks is a very specific kind of misery, even more so when you're not feeling the love. I then caught my hip on the corner of one of the workbenches. The kind of hit where you know instantly it's going to bruise. Then came the rose thorn. Now let me tell you something about rose thorns. They're personal. This one didn't just scratch me, It gouged, deep enough that I had to just stop and stare at it. I remember thinking, I literally work with flowers. Why is it all so violent? I have no idea how I would have responded had a customer come in, saying what so many say to me, when they tell me how lucky I am to have such a pretty job and spend my days playing. Yes, playing with flowers. Finally, the orders were all sorted. The wedding was delivered. The bride was ecstatic. The shop calmed down. I sat down with a hot blackcurrant drink for my throat. I opened up my phone, ready to treat myself to 5 minutes of Candy Crush. That's all I wanted. I just needed 5 minutes. The universe? That had other plans for me. Sitting there, I heard a noise, a strange, loud, thudding noise. At first I assumed it was the builders who were working next door. They were always hammering into something. However, the noise was then followed by a crash. Not a small crash, what sounded like a catastrophic crash. Water was heard. Ceramic breaking. Soil. Chaos. The noise had come from inside the shop. I looked up from the desk. There it was. My cheese plant. A plant which had been sitting in the same position for 4 years. It was stable. It was loyal. It was dependable. Apparently, it was also plotting. It chose that day, of all days, to exact its revenge on me. It had launched itself off the shelf. As it did so, it took out the top vase of the floral display, which in turn dominoed into the next, then the next, and the next. It was like some kind of weird floral Jenga, and I was losing. There was water everywhere. There was soil everywhere. Mud formed on the shop floor. It looked as though I'd opened some kind of random swamp experience. I just stood there, half hysterical, half numb. Over £500 worth of flowers lay scattered, broken, damaged in front of me. Ruined. Casualties of a cheese plant. Only one vase survived. One. I found myself laughing, because at that point, what else could I really do? I've seen Little Shop of Horrors. I know how plants can turn. I'm just grateful my cheese plant chose gravity instead of murder. 3 hours it took me. 3 hours of mopping, recutting, salvaging, composting, rebuilding. It's a good job as a florist I'm a stubborn creature. By the time I'd finished, it looked as though nothing had happened. By closing time, the shop was calm again. Beautiful. Peaceful. Only then, at the moment after I had locked the shop door, did I let the day take over me. I sat down. I cried. Not dramatic sobbing. Just that quiet, exhausted relief. The kind which says, this was all too much today. Here's the thing, though. As I've said, the wedding was perfect. My bride was happy. Customers who came into the shop were happy. None of them knew about the chaos that I had survived. This is small business life. People see the bouquets, the shop window, the finished product. What they don't see are the illnesses, the bruises, the wet trainers, the rogue cheese plants, the tears before and after closing. That day did remind me of 2 things, though. 1, I am more resilient than I give myself credit for. And 2, I can't do everything alone forever. Although right now, I don't have much of a choice. There is a strength in powering through, though. There's also wisdom in knowing when not to. Maybe, just maybe, if I ever test positive for COVID again, I'll rest. Or will I? That was my day. A day of COVID, chaos, drivers, neighbours who never moved their car until long after I had left work that day, so it sat on my forecourt blocking customers from getting in. There were weaponised thorns and a cheese plant coup. A day which felt like the universe was testing me. Also a day which proved I can survive. If you've had one of those days recently, I see you. If you're in the middle of one, be assured you will get through it. If your houseplants are looking at you suspiciously, keep one eye on them at all times. Until next time, take a breath, be kind to yourself, and remember, even in chaos there is still beauty. Thank you for listening to Fair and Florist Pod. I will catch you next time. If you have enjoyed this episode, and I really do hope that you have, please feel free to share, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. This can make a really huge difference and helps others to find us. I appreciate all feedback, good and bad, but if you are going to leave negative feedback, please keep it constructive and be kind. I'm a florist after all.
Wait, there's more. Ba-da-da-da-da-dum. Ba-dum. Ba-da-da-da-da-dum.
You can also find us and share with everyone on the usual social media sites: Facebook, Threads, Instagram, Blue Sky, Tumblr, Twitter, and any others which may pop up in between. Just look for Fair and Florist Pod. Please feel free to contact me with any questions you may have regarding any of the tales or experiences that I've shared, or just to do with being a general working florist. You can reach me via email. The address is fairandfloristpod@duck.com. That's DUCK for the duck. Are you a florist with your own stories, your own experiences that you would like me to share for you? If you are, I would love to hear from you. Again, you can reach me via the email address fairandfloristpod@duck.com, or you can drop me a WhatsApp on 073 671 87685. More than happy to keep you anonymous if you would like me to. If you would like me to give your business a mention, whether you run a florist, butcher, baker, or even a candlestick maker, I am more than happy to do so, providing your business is registered and trading legally. As a thank you, though, for my putting your details out there, and hopefully generating some new business for you, it would be really appreciated if you would be kind enough to make a donation to one of our nominated charities. These can be found on the webpage www.fairandfloristpod.co.uk. We live, sadly, in a world where bullies and trolls can intrude far too easily into our daily lives. What was once confined to the classroom or the workplace can now reach much further, stretching its evil tentacles into our homes and personal spaces through screens and devices. I have personally experienced bullying in one form or another throughout the whole of my life, so I understand how deeply it can affect someone. I also realised when I decided to create this podcast, I was inevitably opening myself up to the trolls and the bullies as well. Thankfully, I am now in a place where their words and actions no longer have any power over me. They roll off like raindrops from relief. In many ways, my resilience has been essential, because putting myself out there has brought more than a few people crawling out from the shadows and from underneath their bridges. Some bullies appear in our lives disguised as friends. They can strike you at any point, and they will affect both adults and children alike. They, the bullies, are often extremely weak individuals craving attention. If anything, really, we should pity them. Imagine how empty their life has got to be for them to get their entertainment by abusing someone. Reaching this point in my life did not happen overnight. It has taken time, support, and a great deal of therapy. Bullying affected my physical health, but my mental health even more, in so many ways. It is important I say this clearly. Not all bullying is physical. In fact, a lot of it is psychological, and the impact from that can be profound. Mental health is something that affects every single one of us. At different points in our lives, we may struggle with anxiety, depression, trauma, or simply the weight of everything life throws at us. There is still far too much silence and stigma around mental health, but speaking about it openly can make a real difference. Your mental health can be affected by so many different things, bullying included. Looking after your mental health is just as important as looking after your physical health, and asking for help is not weakness, it is strength. I have struggled with my mental health because of the bullying I was subjected to. I am incredibly grateful that I reached out for help when I did, because honestly, I don't know if I would even be here right now had I not. It is also important to recognise that harm does not only come in the form of bullying. Some people listening right now may be experiencing domestic abuse, whether that is physical, emotional, psychological, financial, or through controlling behaviour. Abuse in the home can be incredibly isolating and frightening. It often happens behind closed doors where others cannot see it. If this is something you are going through, please know that none of it is your fault and you deserve to be safe, respected and supported. Knowing that you are worthy, that you are important and that you are loved is vitally important. Anybody who makes you feel as though you are not is not a person who deserves space or time in your life. If you are struggling, please know that you are not alone and that there is support available to you. There are people who will listen without judgment, people who can help you find your way forward. Even on the darkest of days, light may still be found. If you need support, please reach out. You can call the Samaritans on 116 123. The call will be free, confidential, and someone is available 24/7. If you are experiencing bullying, there is the National Bullying Helpline. This call again is free. You can reach them on 0300 323 0169. If you are experiencing domestic abuse, you can contact the National Domestic Abuse Helpline on 0808 2000 247. This service is also free, confidential, and available 24/7. If talking is uncomfortable for you, then you can text SHOUT, that's SHOUT, to 85258. Again, this will cost you nothing, and they have a 24/7 support line. I know that reaching out can feel hard, terrifying, and pointless. I understand that feeling. I felt that way too. But I promise you, help really is there, and I am proof that it can make the biggest difference. Don't be alone. Reach out. Take care of yourself and stay safe.
That's it for today, where the petals gently sway. Thanks for sharing in the story and for your time with me today. Until next time when our paths will cross again.